Certain actors are known for their voices, and Sylvester Stallone's gravelly, slurred speech is one of the most recognizable in Hollywood. The very thing that got him bullied as a child is what made him successful today. But where did it come from? Keep watching to learn the tragic reason why Sylvester Stallone talks like that. Sylvester Stallone was born July 6, 1946 in Manhattan. The physician who delivered him used a pair of forceps. They severed a nerve and left his lip, chin, and part of his tongue paralyzed. He admitted at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival that he never thought he'd have a film career. Directors at commercial auditions would ask him what he said or what language he was speaking. Arnold Schwarzenegger, his future friend and rival, even commented on his accent once. Arnold joked that the two of them should open up a school for speech lessons. His childhood. Stallone's life has been, like his characters, a story of overcoming adversity. His parents divorced when he was young, and he had to live in foster care for years. His father, Francesco, was abusive, and his mother, Jackie, was neglectful. Developing rickets only made the bullying worse at school, and that made him act out. He would engage in vandalism and dangerous activities that led him to get kicked out of 13 schools by the time he was 12. He'd also broken 11 bones by then. He was told his brain was dormant by the age of 15 and decided to find a physical outlet for his emotions. That's when he took up bodybuilding. He later became interested in acting at American College in Leysin, Switzerland. He worked as a gym teacher and bouncer and sold hamburgers to pay his way. He then finished his education at the University of Miami and moved to New York to pursue his dreams. His love life. Sylvester Stallone married Sasha Schach in 1974. She helped him write the screenplay for his breakout film, Rocky. They had 2 sons, but divorced in 1985. He got married again to model Brigitte Nielsen that same year. Certain reports claimed she was a gold digger, while others said he'd been begging her to marry him. They were divorced 2 years later. His third marriage came in 1997 to another model, Jennifer Flavin. They had 3 daughters. He had an affair with Janice Dickinson while they were together. Janice had a daughter and assumed he was the father, but they split up when it was discovered he wasn't. Step conspiracy. Sylvester's stepfather, Dr. Stephen Levine, was accused of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud in August of 2019. He and his accomplices allegedly pocketed $58 million in federal money by referring unnecessary services to patients. Sylvester's mother said there had to be a mistake. Stephen admitted to it and accepted the plea where he could reveal his co-conspirators and avoid 71 months in prison. He was also accused of murdering his first wife, Myrna, by giving her a lethal dose of the painkiller Demerol. He pleaded guilty and lost his medical license for 6 months. His half-brother was attacked. Dante Stallone, Sylvester's half-brother, nearly died in 2016. He was on campus at Florida State University when he was brutally beaten by 2 other men. They jumped him on his way back from a late-night Taco Bell run. His injuries were so severe that his roommates had to call 911 for him because he couldn't speak. He ended up with a split palate, shattered jaw, and broken teeth. He was hospitalized for weeks and had to undergo extensive surgery. Sylvester was shocked by the incident. He said his half-brother was a wonderful young man, a straight-A student who would not cause any trouble. Police were also stumped. They couldn't find any clear motive for the attack or any connection between Dante and his assailants. Sued by a half-sister. Sylvester's relationship with his half-sister Toni Ann was a bit more contentious. It even turned into a financial battle in 1987. He agreed to give her not only $16,000 a month for the rest of her life, but also a lump sum of $2 million and a trust fund of $50,000 a year for medical and psychiatric expenses. His mother Jackie said the suit was a way to fuel her OxyContin addiction, but there are several other stories. Toni died in August of 2012 after a 48-year battle with lung cancer. Sly's son, Sage. Sage was Sylvester Stallone's oldest son. He appeared in a few of his father's films, such as Rocky V in 1990 and Daylight in 96. He was engaged to be married when tragedy struck. He died at age 36 in July of 2012. He had a heart attack brought on by a heart condition known as atherosclerosis. The media tried to bring in speculation that he was on drugs, but nothing but normal levels of Tylenol-style pain medication was found in his system. Sage was his first child, and the death hit Sly harder than any other tragedy in his life. He often refuses to talk about him today, but he did have to respond to the media right after it happened. He begged the world to respect his memory and leave them in peace. Sophia. Sylvester's daughter Sophia also had health struggles. She had to undergo heart surgery due to a birth defect. It was successful, but she required a heart valve procedure at 16. She was eventually restored to health and went on to study communications and film in May of 2019. Seargeoh. Sylvester's other son, Seargeoh, was diagnosed with autism as a toddler. He earned money for research into the condition with his work, but the boy's mother, Sasha, was doing most of the parenting. He found it difficult to connect with the boy as a father and felt more like his playmate. He does his best and created a nature-driven playground in the yard to help him. Near-death experiences. Sylvester Stallone has had more than one near-death experience. He said at the Cannes Film Festival he was nearly kicked to death by Dolph Lundgren during the filming of Rocky IV. The Swedish karate master wasn't used to fake fighting. Sylvester said, quote, "He hit me so hard he almost stopped my heart." He was airlifted to St. John's Hospital and diagnosed with a bruised heart. He spent 4 days in intensive care. At 75 years old, he's also been under the knife at least 25 times. Lost pets. Those who know Stallone know he's an animal lover. This is the man who agonized over having to sell his bull mastiff Butkus for $100 to get enough money to make Rocky. He couldn't get him back until he paid $3,000 and got him a major part in the film. It wasn't the only time he'd lose a furry friend, and it wasn't the worst either. Phoebe, the family dog, went missing in 2013. The Stallones hung up posters and offered $10,000 in reward money. Sadly, the family found out she had been killed by a coyote. Rights to Rocky. Rocky is the film that shot Stallone to stardom, making him one of only a few actors to ever star in a top box office movie for 5 consecutive years. It's the one that encapsulates his attitude of never giving up despite the tragedies he's faced. And he doesn't even own the rights to it. An attorney told him that no one can get a full stake in a film franchise, and he didn't push for it. Producer Irwin Winkler currently has them all. He asked for some back recently, but the deal isn't finalized. The money Sylvester is making from the franchise has likely softened the blow of any hard feelings. The $2.5 million he earned from the first film included $25,000 for the screenplay and $360 a week for 25 weeks of filming. He also got 10 net points on the rest of all 8 films and 2 spin-offs. That included $75,000 for Rocky III and at least $120,000 for Rocky IV. Sylvester told Roger Ebert in 1979 that he never intended for there to be any more films past Rocky III, and said flat out there will never be a Rocky IV. He called for a halt again when that was filmed and did the same thing with Rocky VI and Rocky Balboa. He called Creed II a final farewell to the character, but said Rocky may rise again in 2019. The franchise will go on with Creed III. He admits he would have taken the character in a different direction, but wishes Henry Winkler and Michael B. Jordan well. It seems Sylvester Stallone can't let go of Rocky any more than the rest of the world can. He's even said about one of his other most famous characters, Rambo, quote, "I don't want my heroes to die." Now it's time to hear from you. Do you have a favorite Sylvester Stallone film? Let us know in the comments section below.